All right. We are live streaming. Welcome. Welcome to the Life Vitamins video podcast. And this is a program dedicated to helping folks live better. And I'm your host, Olushoji Kolawole. And you can just call me Olu. I'll answer to that. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And the topic of this episode of Life Vitamins is a soldier's story. My special guest tonight is Miss Connie McClendon. And we are going to jump right into it. But first, before I bring her on the show, let's take care of just a few housekeeping items. Let me tell you how you can find us on social media and the web. We are currently live streaming on YouTube and Facebook. On YouTube, you can find us at Life Vitamins. On Twitter, you can find us at Life Vitamins, the number one. Facebook, Life Vitamin with a Y. We also are set up on Twitch. You can find us at Life Vitamins. You can find me on LinkedIn as Olushoji Kolawole. On TikTok, you can find us at Life Vitamins. Instagram, you'll find us at Life Vitamin with a Y. And on the web, you'll find us at www.lifevitamins.net. Just give you a heads up on some upcoming shows. Next week, on January 28th, my guest will be Mr. Richard Wilson, the founder and principal of the Benjamin Banneker Charter School in Willingboro, New Jersey. Then on February 11th, I don't want you to miss our Love is in the Air podcast with my special guest, Theony Shannon from Dallas, Texas. We've got some great shows, podcasts lined up for you in the coming weeks, and I hope you can join us on one of them. I'm really excited about it. Some of the topics that we're going to be talking about are mental health, marriage and dating, self care, parenting, real estate. We'll have spiritual forums with guest pastors, financial strategies, raising medical awareness, home improvement, music artists, and so much more. We'll even be talking about culinary and cooking, and I just can't wait to get into some of these things with you. Now, just before I talk with my guests, let's watch this quick video to honor our veterans. Thank you. Thank you. So let's go ahead and make life better together. As we said, tonight my topic is uh, a soldier's story. And today on the podcast, I'm so honored to have as my special guest Miss Connie McClendon. She is a U.S. Army National Guard veteran who served a tour in Iraq. She is also the author of the book Between Me and God, as well as being an advocate for people with disabilities, suicide awareness, and also mental health. We are extremely happy and deeply honored to have you with us on the podcast tonight. Welcome to the show, Connie. And
Hello,
how are
thank
you
you.
tonight?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Absolutely. We are overjoyed to have you. And so, thank you for consenting to come on the program. And we wanted to talk about your story. We wanted you to share it with the listening audience as a veteran of a U.S. war. Um, as I began to prepare for this program, I saw that it was much deeper than I had ever really given thought to. And I think maybe for most Americans who have never served in the military or been deployed, have really no idea. And so that's why we have you here tonight. And we'd like you to share your story. So let's just jump right into it. Okay. Is that all right?
That's fine. Let's go with it.
Awesome. First, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you grew up and what led to your decision to join the military?
So, I had what I feel was a very, regular, normal childhood. I was raised by my mother. I have two younger brothers. One brother is deceased, and I grew up in an environment where I got to know my grandparents very well, very close to them. Uh, got to know aunts and uncles and just a lot of family around. Um, so I remember there were two neighbors. Um, one lived across the street, two different families. One lived across the street, one lived next door. And then both of those families were women. There were daughters uh, who were in the army, different different eras. One was like in the 80s, and the other one was during the 70s time period. And I remember seeing them come home with their dress uniform on, and I would think, oh, that's really cool. That was one of the initiatives, one of the things that drove me to that. Another thing was that it's just something that I've always wanted to be. Every time I would, watch something on TV that had anything to do with soldiers, I was just like, that's what I want. That's who I am. That's what I want to do. That's who I want to be.
Nice. So you said you grew up with around and with a lot of family. You had a lot of family,
Yes.
right? Did you play sports in high school? Did that contribute at all to wanting to be in the military?
No, that there wasn't anything that I did growing up necessarily that contributed to me being in the military. I just knew that that was a goal of mine that I wanted to get to. I just knew that's what was in my future. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not really an athlete, but I like to think I was an athlete at one point. I mean, I ran track, I played basketball, um, but I didn't
So
do
you
either
ran
of those
track
things
and you
very
played
well.
basketball. So you
Yeah,
weren't athletic. That's funny.
yeah, I like to think I was, but the truth is I wasn't.
Awesome. What career did you select in the military?
I didn't select a career. Um, at the time that I wanted to go in, when I got of age, I couldn't go active army because I was told that they weren't accepting people who didn't have a high school diploma. I didn't have a high school diploma at that time. So I said, well, okay, the door is not completely closed. I got to find a way to get in. And that's how I got into the National Guard. I went that route. And later on, I did get my GED. So I didn't really focus on choosing a job. I just focused on getting in. And once I got in, the job that was assigned to me or that I scored high enough for was
Okay.
in the supply field.
Supply field.
Yes,
Okay. So now you joined up. You had a job selected, and then you obviously went to basic training, right?
right.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about basic training. Was it tough? Was it rough?
Basic training was the first time that I started to learn some things about myself. That's part of what it's designed to do, to get
Hmm.
to learn some things about who you are and who you want to become and all of that kind of thing. Um, there were some hard moments in basic training, definitely, because it is a challenge mentally and physically, not just physically. It's not just about push-ups and sit-ups. There's also the mental challenge there too. Um,
So you did all
I
the you did all the exercises. You did all the PT.
Yes.
All
Uh,
and you
yeah,
got yelled
our
at
right. Our day started at 4:30 in the morning
four
and
thirty in the morning.
ended around 9:30,
Okay.
something like
What would you say was the toughest part of basic training? And was it more difficult being a woman in basic training?
that. For me personally, the toughest part about basic training was getting up at 4:30 in the morning.
I can understand that.
uh, I at the time I was in basic training, I didn't feel that my gender really presented a challenge or an issue at that time. I was, young, so there were a lot of things that I hadn't been exposed to yet as far as being away from home in that sense.
Uh huh.
Um, it wasn't until later on that I encountered interesting moments as far as my gender is concerned.
Okay. I like how you term that. Interesting moments. So now you're in basic training, and where did you go? Did you have to leave? Where did you leave the state to go to basic training? Where'd you go?
I went to South Carolina, Fort Sumter.
I'm sorry,
Fort Sumter, I'm sorry.
Fort Sumter, South
Yeah,
Carolina.
yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so now
It was
you're in
my
basic training. You've left home. You're in basic training. You obviously complete your basic training, and you're off to your first duty station. So tell us a little bit about where you were, stationed first, and how it came that you got um that you found out you were going to go to Iraq.
Okay, so basic training. I was in basic training during the time that we were in Kuwait, Operation Desert Storm. And after I completed my basic training, there's another portion called Advanced Individual Training (AIT). Some, depending on what, that's where you learn your job skill. So depending on
Mhm.
what that is, determines whether or not you go to another installation or if you stay at the one that you complete your basic training. Um, I did my AIT at Fort Lee, Virginia, and I was there for several weeks, about 3 months, I believe it was. Yeah, about 3 months, I believe it was, learning the supply field. After that, after completing that program, then I came back home, and my duty station was in Seagirt because I'm National Guard. Interesting thing, fact that a lot of people don't know that when you go to basic training and AIT, uh, you're not separated as far as whether you're reserve, National Guard, or Army. You're all trained together, and so towards the end of the training, you find out where your duty stations will be. So active Army obviously will go um, wherever they're sent to. Army Reserves and National Guard, they usually go back to their home state and their wherever their unit is where they signed up in their home state.
And so your home state was
New Jersey.
New Jersey, right? So you went to South Carolina for your basic training, completed all of that, and graduated, and then you returned back to New Jersey. Now, how did you find out? How did you find out that you were going to be deployed overseas?
So, first, well, when I went in, it was in 1991. So I was in for many, many years before Iraq, that opportunity ever came up. The first time that I was supposed to be deployed, or that it was hinted that I would be deployed, was in 2005, and I was on a standby list. And basically, that is for anybody that's destined to go. If they can't go for a medical reason, then they take someone from the standby list to fill in that spot. I didn't have to go at that time. The
Hmm.
next time that Iraq came up was in 2008, and that's when my entire unit, just about all of the units in New Jersey, that's when we deployed for Iraq.
Okay,
And
so now here we are. Can you just share your Iraq story? Um, just take your time. Put us on the plane. Put us on the plane ride over there.
so I I'm a cold weather baby, so I felt like the heat was going to kill me before anything else would. I remember, we were on the plane. It felt like forever getting there. Uh, the day, or the night actually, the evening that we got off the plane, when they opened the doors and as we filed out, I felt like that heat was going to knock me down.
How hot was it?
Uh, it was triple digits,
Triple digits.
triple digits. I
Is
can't,
it?
remember exactly the
Is
actual,
it always that hot there?
but well, they have seasons, if you want to call it that, but not like ours, obviously. During, I believe, December, January time frame, at night it would get a little cooler. It would be cooler in the day, and at night it would get a little cooler. I remember one day, as I was myself and my team, as we were heading out, I saw locals, and they had on these jackets, these nice warm jackets, and they were, seemed like they were cold. And I'm like, what in the world is wrong with, like, why are they walking around like it's cold? It's not cold. Well, to them it was cold. To us, it would have been beautiful because it was about 60 some odd degrees.
Okay.
But for them, that's, cold.
I had heard that the average temperature in Iraq is like 114 or 120 degrees or something like that.
Right.
So
That's right.
what you're saying about triple digits. So you're over there in Iraq. The plane lands. Pardon me. And were you afraid? Like, what were you thinking when you came off the plane to this war?
I mean, anybody, even if someone says, "Oh no, I wasn't scared," they're lying. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's, nervous. Everybody's unsure. Everyone has those emotions because we're human. We're gonna have them. Um, Part of me just wanted to be able to take in every single thing possible. So my eyes were all over the place, looking at everything. My ears were open, hearing everything. And honestly, I had to like kind of tuck those feelings, even though they were there. I'd had to really tuck them down deep because, I signed the paper. It's time for me to go. I'm on the plane. I get there. I'm there now. There's no sense in being, scared or crying about it now or any of that. Is what I had told myself. It's like I'm here. I'm training, so I need to do what I need to do and get back home.
How did you deal with the fear and the feelings of uncertainty? How did you deal with it?
Well, honestly, I think what I did, not realizing what I was doing at that time, was that I transferred the fear into anger. There were a lot of in irritability. So there were a lot of things that I would get angry about, or I would become irritable, or just.
Mhm.
So I believe that's something that happens to many people who were in that situation, many service members.
And did you see actual combat? And how close were you? Could you? Yeah, I'm a novice, so I just have to ask novice questions. But could you hear bombs exploding and IEDs and all this stuff?
So, what I was tasked with was called, our mission was called detainee operations.
Can you speak
And,
up just a little bit?
oh, I apologize. Uh, what we were tasked with was called detainee operations. And so we dealt with detainees, Iraqi detainees. And I was part of a platoon that dealt with high risk, what they called high value detainees. And my specific squad, my specific platoon, we were escorts. We were called the escort platoon.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a driver. I drove a vehicle, and we would basically go outside the wire, as they call it, which is out of the safe confines of the installation. And we, as a matter of fact, we drove down a road called Route Irish, and which is near the airport in Baghdad. That's where I was stationed in Baghdad. And we would go out there to complete our mission. So, yes, I was in harm's way. At any time, there could have been an IED. At any time, we could have been shot at. Driving down the road, you can see evidence of such things that have taken, those things taking place, at a time, at other times.
Evidence like what's some
I
evidence?
mean, the uh, potholes, or the concrete, the roads would look like craters because they were blown up. You could see, vehicles that had, bullet holes in them. So you know that it is a war torn country.
So you are um, from I guess it's called a base or the post. You go out on a
Mhm.
mission. You're out there. You're in a military vehicle, and you have the possibility of driving over one of um, these
IEDs, yeah.
IEDs, and
Hmm.
you're seeing evidence of other explosions that leave craters in the ground, as well as vehicles and buildings that have machine gun holes in there. What kind of weapons did you have to train on and carry?
I carried a M16A2. Um, it's just adjustable butt stock. M16 with an adjustable butt stock. That was
Hmm.
the weapon that I carried.
Awesome, awesome. I see that little smile there. I know that M16. Um, so, do you want to share anything about friends while you were there, or tell us about the food? How did what was the food like in Iraq as a soldier?
Food was good. The food was good.
Food was
Um,
good.
yeah, we had good food. Um, Almost, you know, the same as what you would have, here at home. We had
Really?
access to, you know,
So
um,
you wouldn't think
they
that the
cater.
food would be similar.
No, no, they had some of everything, and they would, cater to, well, because of the country that we were in. I don't think there was a lot of pork. We would have that sometimes, but there wasn't a lot of that. I remember bacon. I think I did, and you know, chicken, different types of soups, sandwiches, like, you know, it
Okay.
was pretty good. The only time that I had, to deal with MREs and things like that is when I was in training, and you
MREs,
know,
right, right,
when I was on duty with the National Guard,
right.
and they're good too when you're hungry
And
enough.
how long were you in Iraq? How long did you stay? Obviously,
9
your
months,
cat loves you.
yes. Sorry.
Well, you heard my
9 months.
dog's barking, didn't you?
No, I didn't hear.
Told her
um,
myself.
we were there 9 months.
9 months in Iraq, and
Yes.
obviously the time came for you to come home and tell us, a little bit how that happened. How'd you get the news that you were going to be coming home?
We knew what our time frame was when we were, when we got our orders in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And, as it got closer, they told us, what we need to do in preparation for coming home. I was very excited, very, very excited. I was also very tired, very, was just ready to be done with it, honestly. I was just ready to be done with the whole experience.
I'm sure. So I'm just going to transition just a little bit. I was reading an article today, not today, this week, um, on in Psychology Today about soldiers that have been deployed and been in wartime. And the article says that most soldiers returning home suffer with PTSD, complex PTSD, which I had never heard of, complex PTSD, and many other psychological, emotional issues when they get back home. And also, a lot of veterans suffer from survivor's guilt. Did you have any long term ill effects, either emotionally, psychologically, or otherwise, from your time in Iraq? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I felt like when we came home, I felt like that I hadn't really done anything. I hadn't really been a part of anything. Because I didn't see the stuff that people think that you always see when you're in combat. What they think the definition of combat is, we were in harm's way. Just the fact that I could be potentially shot at or blown up or anything, that's stress. That's
Hmm.
stress. Um, when I came home, I started to, a few months afterwards, I started to have some issues that I couldn't explain and I didn't understand. I had seizure like episodes. I don't have a seizure disorder, I don't have epilepsy or anything. I've never had anything like that before. And when I went to the VA and started to seek treatment for it, my diagnosis is what's called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, PNES. And so it's psychogenic in nature. It's not metabolic, so it's not epilepsy. It has nothing to do with epilepsy. The reason why it's called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures is because when someone is going through an episode, they may look like or take on the characteristics of what someone is going through who does have epilepsy. And basically, the way that a doctor, one of my many doctors, explained it to me is that it's how my body is reacting to being extremely stressed or
Hmm.
anxious. Some people might have heart issues or high blood pressure or ulcers or other things that may go on. Um, I I look like I'm having a seizure, and that is directly related to my time in Iraq.
In Iraq. And so, how do you cope with these? How do you cope with the negative memories and the lasting, the physical and um, the seizure-like activity that happens to you? How do you cope, and how are you recovering, and what are you doing to manage?
So it took a lot, with anything that you have when someone is diagnosed with anything at all. It's a lot goes into finding the right treatment for that person, for the individual. So I went through a lot of different therapy, a lot of different medications, a lot of different coping mechanisms, and so at just a few years ago, just a couple of years ago, finally found what fits. I do have a therapist that I talk to. I am on medication for anxiety and depression. because my depression was also exacerbated due to my time in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also learned more through therapy about what my triggers are as far as my seizure like episodes. So I have learned how to stay away from my triggers, and when I can't stay out of environment where my triggers may be, I learn, they talk about breathing exercises. That doesn't always work for me, but I haven't thrown it out altogether. So there's just a lot of different things that I do to help me cope with what I deal with. I also learn how to cut some things out completely, and that also helps out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
When before deployment, I used to be a news junkie. Used to love watching the news. I used to be very into military history, very much into military history. After my deployment, I stay away from movies that have a lot to do with the military and combat and fighting and shooting. I really don't watch a lot of that stuff or even a lot of TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch the news very rarely. Rarely do I watch the news because those are things that would be an issue for me.
So what I would say to the audience is, I think I read. I got to do a better job of keeping my statistics here, but statistics and facts in front of me. But I think that I read that there was at least 58,000 or more troops that served in Iraq. But the point is, whether it's 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, or 100,000, it's probably higher than any number that I read. The important thing is that, your story is one of 58,000, 60,000, 100,000 veterans, and that's just one war. Um,
Right.
so, what do you recommend veterans and their families do to recover and heal? What's your best recommendation for healing?
So, a lot of veterans don't like to admit that they may be dealing with some things because we just aren't, um, we're not, geared toward doing that. We're not trained to do that. But, after you've done your service, and you come home and you're trying to rebuild you and your family, you have to seek help. You can't do it alone. You have to seek help. You can't do it alone. And the VA, Veterans Affairs, they have, throughout the country, there are many programs that are geared toward helping veterans and their families build together again, to become whole again. And so I would advise, I would hope that veterans would, use that because the VA is here for us. That's what they're here for, is, to help us
The
get back
Veterans
to
Administration.
whatever normal. Yes, the Veterans Administration, Veterans Affairs, to get back to whatever, we may, call normal. um, it's I have to say that for those who rely heavily on their faith, that's definitely a good place to start, something to definitely go towards. Rely on your faith, use your faith. um, you have to have patience with yourself. The veterans, you have to have patience with yourself. You can't expect everything to fall in place, overnight, or honestly, even over several days or even a year's time. It takes time to put those pieces back together again. And as long as you stay consistent and as long as you surround yourself with those who believe in you and you can trust, those that you can trust, you'll be able to get back to whoever it is that you want to be. And for the families, I would say that families also have to be patient, and they also have to understand that, when your veteran doesn't come to you with something, it isn't because they're shutting you out. It's because they don't know how. That's not something we're taught to do. And all of the training that they do for us when we're preparing to go fight a war, they don't teach us how to talk to our loved ones about the difficulties that we do face or may face. If
Right.
anything, they want us to not tell our families about that. So that's how, that's what we have when we come back. And so we want the families to understand that they're not being shut out. You know, um, we have to have patience with them and to also seek therapy. Therapy is really good because just like you have to go to your doctor to make sure your blood pressure is good and to make sure that, your heart and whatever else is good physically. Therapy is there to make sure that your mind is good.
Awesome. I think that's awesome advice. So I heard you say you definitely want to be using the VA, Veterans
Yes.
Administration, Veteran Affairs. So if there's any veterans out there watching this podcast, or if you family members of veterans, uh, direct your loved ones to these organizations because they are here. They're here to help. Your faith, patience with yourself, and to the families as well. Therapy and patience. I have a very short video clip I want to show, and it's a clip of you speaking um, at speaking for Ability One and Source America. So let's just jump into that right quick.
Okay.
Is the audio coming through?
I don't hear it.
I apologize. Is the audio coming through?
No.
No.
All right, let me just fix that. I apologize. This is a very important clip for the whole world to see. And here we go. I'm almost ready. I apologize. All right. And here she is, folks. All right. One more time. I'm new to podcasting, so bear with me. And here we go now. I think we should have it.
I was unable to go back to doing the type of work that I did before I was deployed. What brought me to an Ability One job was that I went to a counselor at the VA and I figured, you know what, this would be a great opportunity for me to go back to school. As we talked, she said that they are able to help veterans find employment um, that matched the skills that they were trained with in the military. And I went back to her after realizing that my pocketbook, my financial situation wasn't going to allow me to go to school at that time. And I spoke with her and told her that, what I really need is a job. It's a win for the person who needs a job. It's a win for the company that, is providing the job. And it's a win for the contract in whole.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon.
Can you tell us about Ability One and Source America? What is that organization?
Okay. So, Ability One is a government agency that their mission is to employ people with disabilities, and Source America is an advocacy program, and they also have the same mission. What they do is they help nonprofit organizations. Uh, they're kind of a liaison between a nonprofit organization and Ability One as far as getting government contracts to employ people with disabilities. Um, so I came to that world of contracting through a representative at the VA in Newark, New Jersey, who helped me find a job. And the job that I was found was Slocum Contract Services. They're based in Washington State, and they were starting a contract in Fort Meade, Maryland. So I and my family, we picked up and we moved to Fort Meade. We moved to Maryland, and I began working on the contract in Fort Meade. And I will say, I started off as a material expediter, and then I was promoted to supply technician. And during that time, uh, I was asked if I wanted to be part of the Source America Grassroots Conference, and that's every summer they
Mm-hmm.
go to Washington D.C. They have different organizations, different nonprofit organizations, and they also have members within their organization who go and speak with representatives, U.S. representatives, and talk to them about the importance of people with disabilities being able to work and earn a living wage, and how important it is for people who have disabilities to be considered,
Right.
in
So,
the
um,
workforce.
any any veterans, excuse me, I'm sorry, any veteran that's in need of work can contact Ability One Source America as a
Well,
resource.
I'm sorry, any veteran that's in need of work can, I would suggest going through the VA, because they have those services, and then from that point, you'll get direction, directed.
Okay, that's awesome. So I just got a couple more things before we wrap it up. We're running out of time,
Mhm.
um, getting short on time, but you also speak professionally. I know you have spoken around the country for different organizations, businesses, and government agencies. What are some places you've spoken? Um, what are some places and organizations that you've spoken to? And also, you
Um,
can just follow that up with, do you have an email address that you'd like to give out in case there's a business or organization that would like for you to come and speak?
so I have, when I went, my public speaking career started with Source America Grassroots. I spoke as a self advocate, and they asked me if I wanted to be part of what they have. It's called the Speakers Bureau program, and I became a member, became part of that program, and I would go to speak to different government organizations about um, being employed with a disability. I have what's called an unseen disability. Um, the purpose of that is for people who are not aware or who don't understand how the inclusion works. Um, Different members, they talk about, yes, we have a disability, you know, but we also have an ability. So, basically the point of it is just because you see someone that looks like they may not be able to do something doesn't mean that they don't have a skill set.
Right, I like that.
People with disabilities can still earn a degree if that's what they wish to do. They can still use their mind, even if they can't use their hands. Or someone like me, just because I have what's called PNES doesn't mean that I'm not able to go out into the workforce and earn a living to take care of my family, the same as anybody else desires to.
Right. So you're available. Do you have an email address that you'd like to give out in case
Um,
someone wants to contact you for speaking?
my email address, yes, it is Bernadette, BERNADETTE .Williams at Williams 910 at gmail.com.
And you can also reach out right here to Life Vitamins, and we'll be happy to put your business or your organization in touch with Connie as well. I'm going to move on to one more thing. You're a very busy young lady here. You've also published a um, a literary art, a literary piece, and I call it a book. You call it a journal. Um, but let me bring this over here so we can talk about this for a minute. You've published a book, and which is a journal, a daily
Hmm.
journal, and the title is Between Me and God. And as you can see on the screen here, it is available on Amazon.com. Um, can you tell us about how you came to create the work and what
So,
you advise it to be used for?
So I'm a writer. I've always been a writer. That's my preferred mode of communication until I became a speaker, which I'm still blown away by the fact that I do that, and I can speak openly. So it's not something that's just out of the blue or something new. I've always wanted to write. I've always wanted to publish. How I came about this particular title is because there are just some things that really are just between you and God,
Absolutely.
and I wanted it to be it's a blank journal, and it's unlined. Those pages are meant to be filled by the writer. You write down whatever you want to. It's a great tool, I believe, to take with you. It's paperback, so it can fit very easily into a backpack, a handbag, or whatever you want to carry it in. And you write down whatever you want. If you want to write a prayer, if you want to write an answer to a prayer, if you want to write how you were feeling, and then you write down again how you feel 5 minutes after that fact. If you want to
I
take it
like
with you to your therapy sessions.
I like it. That's a great accomplishment to have published a book, and I like it when it says this will make a great gift for anyone. So we have our copy here in the house, but I'm definitely going to be getting a couple more and putting it out there. So listen, folks, all of you who are watching the podcast, you can get this book, this journal, this daily journal to keep your prayers and keep your thoughts. Your answer to prayers, whatever you want to use it for your mental health journey. Connie has written this material, and here at the Life Vitamins podcast, we're all about helping people make life better, and we do that by making life better together. So, all of you who will get on Amazon, go to Amazon. There it is, right there. Connie B. McClendon, Between Me and God. And I got this page up by typing in Between Me and God. Buy the book, buy the book, buy the book. Let's make life better together. And here's the rub for you right here, folks. On this Amazon book, it's only $4 on Amazon. Go get the book. Um, So I asked you about your email address, and I guess that basically is bringing us to the end of our interview. You've given your email address, and as I said, for anyone who wants to get in touch with Connie, you can always reach out through Life Vitamins, and we'll be more than happy to put you in touch with her, and so that she can either speak or respond to questions that we weren't able to get to here. And Connie, I want to just tell you, um, as we close the program, I want to thank you for your service first and foremost. I want to thank you for your sacrifice, and
Thank you.
thank you for your commitment, and most of all, thank you for coming and helping folks make life better here on Life Vitamins.
Thank you for having me. And I hope that everyone out there that is listening, that is watching, that there's something that I said that is useful to you.
Absolutely. You hang tight for a minute, and thank you, folks. Join us next week as we talk with Mr. Rich Wilson of the Benjamin Banneker Charter School. You folks have a great night, and let's keep making life better together.